Even now, so many years later, just hearing the name Bobby Fischer,
Yeah.
it still kind of resonates, doesn't it? There's this immediate sense of legend, amazing chess skill, but also maybe like a curiosity about how complicated his life was.
Definitely.
And if you're someone who really wants to get how a person reaches the absolute top of their game and, get that insight quickly, well, you're in the right place.
Yeah, because today we're doing a deep dive into Bobby Fischer, a chess genius, no question, but also a really unique, sometimes baffling person.
Exactly. And we've looked at a lot of stuff, biographies, detailed game analyses, even forum discussions where people try to figure out his legacy.
Right.
Our goal here is really to pull out the key things. His brilliance, his innovative playing style, the big dramatic moments, how he climbed to the top, and then, of course, the details of his fall.
And it's important, I think, to say up front that Fischer's story isn't simple. It's got incredible talent, amazing chess ideas, but also, big personal problems and some really controversial stuff.
Yeah, we want to give you a full picture based on what the sources tell us about this, well, really complex guy.
Okay, so let's dive in. He was born in 1943, grew up in the Bronx, and that seems like worlds away from elite chess tournaments, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. Imagine the Bronx back then. Very different vibe. Sources point out, kids played street games, that sort of thing. Nothing like the intense mental focus chess demands.
Right.
So it really highlights how unique Fischer's dedication was right from the start.
And it wasn't just a hobby, was it? Even really young, he apparently showed these incredible abilities, photographic memory, intense concentration, amazing spatial thinking, and just a really original way of looking at things. Like his brain was just wired for chess.
Exactly. These weren't small things. They were clear signs of a mind just perfectly suited for the game. But interestingly, the sources also mention struggles in school, maybe some social awkwardness.
Yeah, I saw that.
Early hints maybe of the personality complexities that, became more obvious later on. And then there's his mother, Regina Wender Fischer. She sounds like a pretty amazing figure herself.
Oh, yeah.
Single mom, social activist, spoke multiple languages, had advanced degrees, and this is wild. She was apparently under FBI surveillance during the Cold War.
It's fascinating, right? Just the breadth of her life and intellect.
Yeah.
Clearly very smart, very determined, especially for a single mother back then. And the FBI thing, yeah, that adds a whole layer of Cold War intrigue.
And the mystery about his father, too. Was it Hans Gerhard Fischer who was listed, or the physicist Paul Nemeni? It just adds another layer, doesn't it?
It does. And you have to wonder, how did all that, the absent father, his mother's really unique life, the potential pressures she faced, how did that shape him? Both his genius and maybe some of the psychological issues later on.
So this intense focus on chess started super early. There's that famous quote, right? All I want to do ever is play chess.
Yeah, powerful.
That kind of single-mindedness, so young, is pretty remarkable.
It really shows his passion, and you see that dedication in his playing style, which was frankly revolutionary. If you look at analyses of his game of the century, you can see the principles he followed right from move one.
Okay, let's get into that. What were those key ideas from that game?
Well, first off, efficiency. Fischer hated wasting opening moves. Every move had to do something develop, control the center.
Made sense.
And, crucially, if his opponent did waste a move, he believed in punishing it, hard and fast. That move, F4, in the game of the century, classic example.
Wow, yeah, knight move to the edge like
Yeah.
that. It makes you rethink things.
Exactly. It wasn't random. It completely messed up White's plans, created immediate threats. But beyond that, Fischer just had this deep, intuitive feel for chess patterns. Smothered mates, forks, pins.
Kind of fundamentals.
Yeah, but he saw them with incredible clarity and used them lethally.
And even when he was winning, he didn't rush, did he? The sources say he was patient.
Very patient, methodical. Once he had an advantage, he'd just squeeze. No impatience, no unnecessary risks. That mix of sharp tactics and strategic patience, that was pure Fischer.
Yeah.
And all of this led up to that incredible run before the World Championship.
Oh, yeah. That was just mind-blowing. Winning 20 games in a row in the interzonal and candidates. Seriously.
20 straight wins, and then crushing top guys like Taimanov and Larson, 6-0, both of them.
6-zip. Against grandmasters. That's just dominant.
It was totally unprecedented. He just blew away the competition. It felt like he was playing a different game. And that perfectly set the stage for, well, the 1972 match against Spassky.
The match of the century. And it really earned that name, right? Middle of the Cold War, the Soviets had dominated chess forever, seen as proof of intellectual superiority.
Exactly.
And here comes Fischer, this American individualist taking on the whole Soviet system. The tension must have been incredible.
Oh, the political weight was enormous. Spassky wasn't just playing for himself. He represented the Soviet chess establishment. Fischer was, the lone wolf, the challenger, and the drama. It started before they even played a move.
Right. Fischer threatening not to show up, Henry Kissinger getting
A
involved.
personal call from Kissinger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a spy novel. And then the media coverage in the U.S. just exploded. The Fischer boom! Suddenly everyone wanted to play chess.
It captured the public imagination like never before, and the games themselves, full of twists and turns. Game 1 starts as a kind of dull draw, then boom, Fischer plays 29.bxh2. Still debated today.
Still debated. Wow. And then game 2, the forfeit.
Yeah, the forfeit.
Yeah.
And all the conspiracy theories started flying, the lights, the cameras. Was it the chair?
Seriously, it's sure.
Oh, yeah. It just added to the whole circus atmosphere. Total unpredictability.
Okay.
But then game 3, Fischer gets his first ever win against Spassky. And he does it with this surprise move, 11 NH5.
NH5. Another knight move.
Yeah. So unexpected, so good, they apparently put it on T-shirts. That really shifted the match's momentum.
Definitely sounds like it. And there were other key moments, right? Like Spassky blundering in game 5.
Oh, a huge blunder, 27 QC2. Just gave away a pawn in the game. Fischer pounced with 27.B racks 4, and Spassky resigned pretty quickly after that.
Wow.
Then game 6, Fischer pulls out another surprise, opens with 1.C4, English opening. First time in the match. And Spassky actually joined the audience in clapping.
No way. Spassky clapped.
Yeah. Shows the respect between them, even in that intense fight.
That's incredible amidst all that pressure. What about game 10?
Game 10, Fischer launched this sharp attack after Spassky made a slightly dubious queen move, 25qx5, and then Fischer showed his endgame skill, just converted it precisely. Totally. But even when Fischer didn't win, the games were fascinating. Like game 11, Spassky played this absolutely stunning move, 14.MB1.
Knight back to B1. And the Najdorf Sicilian.
Yeah. Just retreated it back home. It completely threw Fischer off.
Nah.
That was Fischer's only loss with his pet poisoned pawn variation in the match.
That NB1 move is legendary. Just pure creative genius from Spassky there.
It really was.
Yeah.
And then came game 21, the decider. Fischer played a novelty early on move 8. Later, Spassky made a mistake in the endgame.
And that was it.
That was it. Fischer won the game, won the match, and became world chess champion.
The first American world champion.
Right.
Breaking that long Soviet stranglehold, what an achievement. Just monumental.
David versus Goliath on 64 squares. Truly historic.
An absolute peak moment. But as we know, the story takes a turn after that. A pretty sad turn, by most accounts.
Yeah, unfortunately. His refusal to defend the title against Karpov a few years later, FIDE stripped him of the title.
He just wouldn't play.
He had all these demands, conditions. FIDE wouldn't meet all of them, so he basically just walked away.
Right.
Retreated from public life completely. There were reports, pretty troubling, about homelessness, getting involved with, like, a fringe church.
And then the anti-Semitic comments started later on, which are just really hard to understand, especially since his mother was Jewish.
It's deeply disturbing. It really casts a shadow. His behavior just got more and more erratic, his public statements more controversial.
Right.
Then the 1992 rematch with Spassky in Yugoslavia. Big money, lots of attention, but it violated U.S. sanctions because of the war there.
So he couldn't come back to the U.S. after that.
He became a fugitive, essentially. Lived in exile to avoid charges.
And things just kept getting worse. I remember reading about more anti-Semitic stuff and his reaction to 9/11.
Yeah, his reaction to 9/11 was shocking, widely condemned. It really paints a picture of someone profoundly disturbed.
What about his finances? Did he lose all the money from 72?
It seems like he might have lost a lot of the 72 winnings to that religious group he was involved with. But the 92 rematch reportedly netted him a huge amount, like over $3 million.
So he wasn't broke in his later years.
Yeah, not after 92, no. But before that, during those long years of isolation, yeah, there were stories of him being quite poor, even needing help from his mother sometimes.
And lots of rumors about that hidden period too, right?
Yeah.
Coaching Judah Polgar.
Yeah.
Living with another GM. Maybe playing online.
Lots of rumors, yeah. Coaching Polgar, staying with GM Flieger in Germany for a while. Some stories about him playing chess online under aliases. But mostly speculation, hard to confirm.
But the main picture that comes through is just increasing instability, paranoia, withdrawing further and further.
Tragically, yes. It all ended with his death in 2008. He left behind this incredibly complex legacy, unmatched chess genius on one hand, and
Yeah.
then these deeply troubling actions and beliefs on the other.
It really makes you think about influences. Did specific players shape his game?
Oh, definitely. Top players today, guys like Carlsen and they mention Fischer as a big influence.
Still, even now.
Yeah, and you see it in online forums. Lots of chess fans still argue he was the single greatest chess player of all time. High praise.
Especially with all the other legends. Why him?
Well, the argument often goes that Fischer basically created modern chess strategy. His intense analytical style, that absolute will to win, it changed how people approached the game at the top level, especially how they challenged Soviet
He
dominance.
raised the bar.
Completely. His fighting spirit, his total commitment, it set a new standard. Someone even compared him to Paul Morphy.
Morphy, the 19th century American genius.
Yeah. Another brilliant player who dominated, then kind of tragically faded into paranoia and mental illness later in life.
Wow, that's quite a parallel. A bit chilling.
It is. Both reached these incredible peaks and then retreated, seemingly under similar pressures. It's a fascinating, maybe unsettling pattern.
So wrapping this up, we've covered Fischer's amazing talent, his unique style, that huge 72 victory, and then the really sad, complicated decline. Genius and tragedy all mixed together.
And hopefully, listening to this, you've got a more rounded sense of this really captivating figure in chess history.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what is the connection between genius and mental health? How much do politics and society shape someone's life, their legacy?
Yeah.
And how do we make sense of someone whose achievements were so brilliant, but whose later life was so, well, controversial? These are the kinds of questions Fischer's story still brings up.
Absolutely. Plenty to think about. Maybe check out some of his actual games, delve into the history around him. It's quite a story.